I'm Eileen Pitkeathly, and I served at Digby in 1941 to 1943.
And whilst you're there, obviously you served as a plotter within the
Yes.
operations room. What we're going to talk about, Eileen, is that as well as your time at Digby, we'd like to really discuss your career that you had in the RAF during those war years. So the area of your responsibility then, did it go, say, from Hull
Yes.
down to, say, the Wash and across to Derby, something
That's
like
right, that's right. I'm just getting a picture of it. Yes, that's right.
That's
yeah.
about it then.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was what was mainly on your map.
Yes.
To indicate what that was.
Well, we had it was a map of the British Isles.
It was the whole British
The
Isles.
whole British Isles, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So when you say you had hostiles coming in and you picked them up on your table and made your block, if those hostiles then flew through your sector,
Go to somebody else.
they go to somebody else,
that's
and
right.
then you took them off the board.
That's
did you?
right,
And
that's
then
right.
somebody else
Yeah.
did them.
Yeah.
Right. Because we have had some confusion as to how long they stayed on the board, you see. We
Yes.
weren't sure
Yeah.
how they moved on. Okay.
Yeah.
So you must have been particularly busy when we started flying across, taking action across the channel.
That's
etc.
right.
You were monitoring our aircraft
That's right.
as well as the enemy.
Yeah, that's right. We were, yeah.
Right, okay. So it was quite busy then.
There was a question in there, and it's gone again. Oh yes, you said that you were on your headsets talking to the DF stations as they were telling the hostile raids coming
Yeah.
in. How much noise was going on in the ops room around you?
Quite a noise. Quite a noise.
Mhm.
Yes, yeah.
Was it people speaking, or was there other radio traffic?
No, it was people speaking. We were shouting, you see. We had to say ourselves. We were shouting. If a hostile came, we were shouting out, you see, as well. Yeah.
So you got the message from the
Yeah,
DF,
that's right.
plotted it, but
That-
then
yeah.
shouted it to
Yeah,
let
yeah,
everybody
yes,
know?
but I mean, they were looking as well.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was all being recorded on a board.
Mhm.
All of it was being recorded on a board. I don't know who was doing it. One of the sergeants or something, you know, that were along looking at us.
Mhm.
There was this board and they were recording it all on there.
Is that the tote that was up to the
Mm.
back?
Mm.
I've seen photograph with the little steps going up the back for
That's
somebody
right.
to...
Yeah.
That's right,
Yeah.
yes.
That's the one we've got of the hall, actually.
That's
isn't it?
right, that's what happened.
But it wasn't the ops bees who did that. You didn't take it in turns.
No,
to
no,
look
no,
after
no,
the
no.
totes?
We didn't move. We had to stay where we were put. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there was you were telling the room whenever there was a
Yeah,
trap.
that's right.
Did the controllers, were they shouting instructions to each other as well?
I think so. Yes, but I mean, we couldn't look at anybody else. We were concentrating on what we were doing because it's quite difficult getting a metal arrow onto this quickly enough to get it put down and
Push it
released.
along, and yeah.
I mean, you've got to release it in the right place, which is very
Right.
difficult, really.
So were you doing this with a magnetic rod?
Yes, magnetic
Uh-huh.
rod.
Magnetic.
You picked it up and then you released it when it got to where it should
Right.
be.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I mean, you've got to get exactly that.
Mhm.
It wasn't easy, really.
No.
No. I mean, people's lives sort of depended upon
Yeah,
it, but
yeah.
it didn't occur to us that people's lives did depend upon it. I mean, we just were doing it as a job.
Mhm.
And afterwards, I thought about it, you know, when I left demobbed and everything. I thought, however could I have done that without thinking that there was somebody in that plane who might have died, you know, because we hadn't got it accurately done. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very responsible job.
It was, but I mean, we didn't think about it at the time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I mean, there we were.
When working on the table again, and again we've got hostiles coming in, say they're at 17,000 feet, and you put on the board, on your little block, 3 hostiles, altitude 17,000 feet. Were you being told if they changed altitude, did you have to change it on the block? because the reason we're asking this question is because obviously you were also responsible for directing our fighters in.
Yes.
And we were just wondering that once figures went onto that block, did they stay on that block?
I think they stayed on. I can't remember having to alter it.
You can't, right?
No.
Okay. Yeah, because what we were thinking was this was in the infancy of guiding aircraft onto other aircraft.
Yes.
It was all new.
Yes.
And we were wondering, you know, how they told the altitude, because you've only got the radar station.
Yes, that's right.
Feeding that information
Yeah,
back, you know. So, sorry to go on about it, but we were just wondering, you know. So once a figure appeared on that board, then really that was it. Really, that was the first indication you had.
Yes, that's right.
And
it
as long
was.
as the track was correct,
Yes.
that was really the most important.
Yes, that's
thing.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Once, if it was a hostile track, once it had come past the coast, and was coming inland, did you get a message in your ear from the Observer Corps at all? Or when the Observer Corps were giving information about where...
They were giving it, the Observer Corps were giving it to the DF. The DF, there must have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
So were they reporting into... Did you have a separate DF room in Blankney? Can you remember?
I can only remember the small room that I was talking to you about before.
Well, can you tell us about that now? 'Cause we're
Well, I think there were 3 positions round this small table, and they pulled strings. They were given plots from the DF stations,
Yes.
and they pulled strings, and where the 3 met in the middle was supposed to be where the plane was, you see.
Yes.
But sometimes they weren't accurately in the middle.
Yeah.
Sometimes they were a little triangle,
Yeah.
and so you had to do the plot that was the nearest DF station.
Mhm.
You'd read a plot off there, and it was all very, very quick.
Right.
It had to be very, very quick.
And did you do that?
Yes, and I think they called me a teller.
Right.
I think it was called a teller.
So when you're working in a small room on that table,
That's
you were
right.
DF
It was
teller.
separate from the operations room.
And again, did all the ops Bs get involved in that? Did you take it in turns, or?
No. I think there was only one on each watch who did it, and I was the one on my watch that did it. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but was that separate from the messages that you would be getting through?
Yes.
Still
It's
the same-
separate.
Different people talking
That's
to you?
right. Different. Yes. Altogether. Yes.
So if you were working in the DF room, that's where the Observer Corps were talking to you?
I would
as well?
imagine so. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
You've answered so many questions already, you see.
Have I
Oh,
really?
you don't know how many.
I mean, the point is, I just did this,
Yeah.
and I didn't
Appreciate it at
realise
the
where
time.
everything was coming from. I mean, that was the job that I got to do, so I did it, but didn't always realise exactly where it was all coming from.
What it all meant as a big picture.
That's
really.
right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Were you able to talk about your work with the people at Blankney and Digby that weren't actually working in the ops room? Or was
No.
it very secret?
No, we were told not to say anything. Yeah.
So if they asked, what were you allowed to say to them? Just nothing? I can't tell you?
Yes. Well, I never spoke about it at all to this family that were giving me hospitality. You know, I'd just say that I was busy, you know, and that was all really. Yeah.
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 I worked at the hall and that was the end.
That
of
was it. Yes.
Yeah.
And I suppose they took it. Really, they probably realised. They didn't sort of ask me any questions. They were just ordinary people who lived in this village, and he worked for a farmer on a combine harvester. He sort of was a mechanic who had to look after these, and I mean, just an ordinary person, really. Yes.
Yeah.
So.
Great. And if the work of the ops room, as you said, it was quite discreet and you kept it
Yeah.
to yourselves. Did you have an armed sentry on the way into
Yes.
the ballroom itself?
Not into that. Into the place. You had to go down a little drive
Yes.
to get into, and there was an AFI first of all, I can remember that.
Uh-huh.
And then you went through what was supposed to be a part of a kitchen, because when we were on late, or when we were going on duty, they left us cheese and bread there.
Mm-hmm.
And more or less the mice would get at it before we got there, and cockroaches, which was pretty awful. Yes. So there was no sentry, to go into the ops room, no.
So it was, the airfield at Digby was quite well protected, or
Yes.
guarded by ground defence.
Yes.
But you didn't have much, did you have barbed wire around the
No,
the
no,
hall?
no,
Anything
no,
like
no,
that?
no.
It's nothing.
Wow, I had no idea. It was just there.
Yes, it was just there. And actually, the WAF who were on Digby were mostly cooks or, well, I don't know I shouldn't say menial jobs, actually, the WAFs that were there.
Mm-hmm.
And they got very jealous of us living in Blankney, and they complained about us having better things than they did. And because we used to have food from Canada come, sort of apricots and things like that were cooked.
Well, you did leave better than they did. Yeah.
And so in the end they said, right, you ought to go up to the fields around Digby Camp and pull sugar beet. And this was January, and they were frozen into the ground. So we had to go up there and try and pull these sugar beets, and a lot of the WAF fainted. I mean, it was too much. I can remember doing it. I didn't faint, I just got on with it. But I mean, in the end they said, oh no, this is ridiculous, and we didn't do it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But it was an awful thing to have to do.
Just
Yeah.
helping in the farms in the area.
Well, it's supposed to be helping the
Yeah.
farmers, yes. But I mean, you can imagine a frozen sugar beet trying to
Stuck,
get it
yeah.
out of the
Yeah.
ground, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
How were living conditions in Lady Lonsborough's hall?
Very good. Very good. Yes.
So you said you had a room between four
Yes.
WAFs.
Yeah.
What did you get up to when you weren't working? If you didn't go to Lincoln and you were around the hall, you had an AFI, what kind of things did you do?
Well, I remember when I first got there, it was very lovely weather, July, and so one of the WAFs that I was with in this room said, well, let's go out somewhere and see if we can get to the coast. I mean, we didn't know where we were really,
Right.
and there was no transport. So we stood in the road just outside the hall, and an army ambulance came by, and these two, soldiers they were, said, where would you like a lift? Where do you want to go? And we said, we want to go to the coast.
Skegness, please.
Miles away. So they said, get in the back. So we got in the back, and there was only beds to sit on, and they went from one side to the other driving, we were being thrown about. In the end we said, oh, we'll have to get out, you see. So we had to get out, and of course we didn't know where we were because there's no signposts or anything. So I mean, we just stood there. I can remember this, and we'd got to be back on duty for a certain time, and time was getting on. Eventually, I think it was a car that came, which was unusual, and there's somebody in it, and we explained, where we were, and he said, right, I'll take you a lift and take you back to Blankney. So that was about the first adventure we did, yes. But otherwise we used to get lifts into Lincoln. But sometimes I used to just go and stay with these people in Blankney village, yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm.